I really wish I had no reason to be here today. I wish my life was plodding along as I'd expected it to, and I had no personal experience of the devastating impact of suicide. I wish it had all been a bad dream. This is my beautiful daughter, Emma. She should be turning 19 next month. When I was 19, I was in my second year of uni. I went on a crazy holiday with friends to Surfers Paradise. I later met my future husband. I won't get to know Emma as a 19-year-old young woman because she is forever 16 and 9 months. This photo was taken 6 months before her death at her last Christmas, and it was printed for her funeral just over 2 years ago. While this picture is fading, my love for her is not, nor is my heartache and my yearning for her every single day. Emma was one of the reported 794 females who lost their life to suicide in Australia in 2022. There were 3,249 people reported in total. She took her life in early July, so let's say perhaps she was number 397. Statistics are important for tracking and research, but it's essential to remember that behind each number is a real person who lived and had hopes and dreams and who was loved. And the lives of those who loved them are forever changed by their death. I'm desperate for my child. I look at pictures and videos of her. I listen to recordings of her voice. I sleep with her piggy and wear her perfume and her clothes. It's very rare that I'm completely distracted and not thinking about her. It's actually exhausting. My life has a constant soundtrack playing, like a movie, of just missing her. Suicide is incredibly complex, and Emma's story is certainly that. There are so many different aspects I could speak about today that contributed to her suffering, but now is not the time or place. Today I want to focus on kindness, because actually suicide prevention starts with each and every one of us in our day-to-day interactions with the people in our lives, even people we may not like or may have been rude to us. We just don't know the burdens someone is carrying. Emma was only 13 when she decided to end her life. I don't like to call it a suicide attempt because there really wasn't a realistic chance of surviving what she did, and she knew that. In what can only be described as a miracle, and only by the grace of God, she did survive. Horrifically injured, my little girl was quite literally broken from head to toe, and she had to begin a very long and painful physical recovery, accompanied by extreme trauma, confusion, anguish, and a significant brain injury, as if she didn't have enough to deal with. While family, friends, our church community, the nurses and doctors and other healthcare staff at Westmead Children's Hospital, even relatively distant connections of ours, all showered Emma in love and kindness and encouragement. Some of her peers back here on the beaches were sowing the seeds of cruelty. By the time Emma's bones had healed enough that we were pressured to re-enter her into the school system and have her be re-exposed to her peers, those cruel seeds had grown and spread like weeds. And so quickly, Emma's already fragile heart was shattered into pieces. I cannot tell you just how destructive this unkindness was, and just how devastating it was to see my little girl, who had fought so bravely in her recovery and impressed so many people with her courage, fall into a pit of despair, shame, fear, and feelings of worthlessness. My child was essentially cancelled. Emma experienced unbelievable and prolonged cruelty. She was assaulted verbally, physically, and sexually. She tried to numb her pain with drugs and alcohol and wild behavior, and became like a wounded animal lashing out from her cage, further fueling the heartless attitudes towards her. Sticks and stones break bones, but let me tell you, bones heal more easily than the heart, and words can be fatal. The sad part is that if you could measure the proportion of love and kindness and support that Emma had versus the cruelty, the former would have totally won out. Emma had so many people cheering her on, and not just her family and friends. She had teachers, doctors, a kind-hearted boss, mental health advocates, mentors. Anyone who really got to know the real Emma had a special place in their heart for her. She was amazing and brave and funny and quirky and talented and kind. About 18 months before her death, another miracle happened in Emma's heart. Seemingly overnight, like a light just turned on, Emma made a complete turnaround. She stopped all the substance abuse and risk-taking behavior and started investing in life and getting excited for her future. We got her back. We thought the love and kindness had won. Have you ever been enjoying a muffin and suddenly you get a mouthful of bitterness, ruining it completely? Or absent-mindedly ground too much salt on your meal, rendering it inedible? That's the scary thing about cruelty. Like a tiny clump of unsieved bicarb or a heavy-handed seasoning of salt can ruin something otherwise delicious. A relatively small portion of cruelty delivered at a vulnerable time has the power to taint an ocean of love and kindness. I'll say it again, you don't know the burdens someone is carrying. Consider that in your interactions with others, whether in person or online, or commenting on social media, whether they are strangers or neighbors or the person who really irritates you at the office or school. I doubt that many people get to the end of their lives and look back regretting the times they showed compassion and kindness. Imagine looking back and wondering if your words or actions contributed to the iceberg of pain that caused someone to end their life. I'm certainly not without failings in this area, and neither was Emma. But let's all try to change the flavor of this society that is quick to judge, quick to cancel, and pays a lot of lip service to tolerance, but doesn't really show a lot of genuine compassion or respect or love. Before I finish, I'm just going to read you something I wrote a few months after Emma died. If you cast your minds back to early 2022, the first half, I'm sure you'll remember we were only a few months out of lockdown, and then we could barely go outside again because it just rained and stormed and rained and stormed. This is called The Storm Within. Sometimes it starts with a few drops, developing into a drizzle, and progressing in stages to an increasingly heavy shower. This time, however, it felt as if the storm appeared from nowhere. Sure, there'd been some dark clouds, but all the forecasts predicted they would blow away, dissipate, move along, and the sunshine would emerge once again. I could see the rays fighting to peek through. I could see the clouds brighten and lighten from their full, heavy darkness to a pale, luminescent grey. I was believing the light would conquer. I was ready to pack away the umbrella and open the windows. When the storm hit, I was utterly unprepared. It didn't just drench my body, it saturated me to my core with its cold, unrelenting downpour. It has entered me forever. There really was the proverbial calm just before, when life seemed somewhat normal and the illusion of control still tangible. I had a beautiful morning with my son, going to the gym together for the first time, a treat for me, having breakfast in a cafe, a treat for us, being manipulated into buying him a long-awaited gift, a treat for him. I had all the hallmarks of a mother's outing with her teenage son. I wasn't aware that we were in a bubble, temporarily shielded from the flood waters which had already taken her. When I discovered that my daughter was gone, it took a few seconds for my brain to tell my eyes what they were seeing. The dark clouds hadn't suddenly rolled in. I simply hadn't seen that they were already there waiting for me. My gaze had been fixed on the other side of the sky, the one which still held joy and beauty and hope. From the moment I opened the door, I was already drenched. The storm was erupting from inside me. The raging torrents of cruel, icy, horrifying rain traversed my body, overcoming every sense, every rational thought, and flooded out of my eyes, my heart, and my soul. The storm cell entered me that day, and it will never leave. It encapsulates my heart, my mind, my memories, my dreams. Some days it can feel like a light drizzle, even a sun shower. Some days the downpour is so treacherous, it's not even safe to go outside. It has made me reflect more deeply on the storm clouds that inhabited her. My heart aches for the pain she felt living under the constant threat of their shadows. She endured so much in her short 16 years and 9 months, so much hate and hurt. I now realize that even when her eyes were radiating the sunshine, her heart was slowly getting waterlogged. The drizzle dampened her hope and rusted her resilience. If only she knew that I would always be there with the umbrella, the raincoat and wellies, that I would brave any storm alongside her to get her back to safe shelter. She was too young and too broken to realize that eventually the sun dries up the rain. The puddles evaporate and the warmth charges your heart enough to weather the next storm. With each storm, you're more prepared, you learn how to batten down the hatches, how to ride it out, and you're more confident that the sunshine will indeed return. In the last 3.5 years of her life, she had known more violent storms and driving rain than most adults. She had felt the warmth of the sun too in the last 18 months. But I suppose when the heavens opened, she was caught without her umbrella, and mine wasn't big enough. I feel like the blood in my body has been forced out of the stormwater drains, polluting the ocean with the froth that once held so much hope for her future and our future together. I will forever house that storm. Be gentle with me. You might not see it. You might see someone who looks okay, perhaps a little distracted. The leaks are not always visible from the outside. I know that one day I will see her again and we will bask in the sunshine. Until that day, I will prepare myself with extra umbrellas, raincoats, and wellies for the sake of my son and my husband, who battle their own storms. And for my family and friends who've weathered the storm with me and have built shelters for us. There are many of us, like me and her, who walk around in the sunshine while the weather rages inside of us. Remember that when you interact with friends, strangers, colleagues, classmates. Kindness is a choice that costs you nothing. Don't be the cruel person. Don't be the person whose cruel words create a fissure in our damn wall. You don't know how many cracks it already has. And what if you're the one to make it burst? Thank you.